And now here's a tune. I'm rolling? I'm rolling. You may not know what that means. Hi, folks. We're rolling. That's when the camera's rolling. Have you ever seen a picture of an old movie being made where the guy is hand cranking the film in the camera? That's rolling. So now we're rolling, but we're only rolling digitally. Little numbers are spinning by somewhere. Welcome to show 114. I can't think of a blessed thing that could represent, but it is episode 114. It's no prime number. At 113 was, however, that will not stop us. That will not stop me. And if you're with me, that will not stop us. And now here's a tune.
Did you ever take a trip, baby, on a mobile line? Hey, Lordy, Mama, hey, Lordy, Papa, talk about the mobile life. That's a road to ride to ease your trouble, man. Well, I got a letter in, this is the way it read. Hey, Lordy, Mama, hey, Lordy, Papa, talk about the way it read. Said, come home, 'cause your love is dead. Packed my suitcase and bundled up all my clothes. Hey, Lordy, Mama, hey, Lordy, Papa, talk about my bundled up clothes. And when I got there, she was alone on the cooling board. took my baby to the burying ground. Hey, Lordy Mama, hey, Lordy Papa, talk about the burying ground. All the hood and hollering when they let her down. There's a boat up the river, Daddy, she won't come down. Hey, Lordy Mama, hey, Lordy Papa, talk about she won't come down. Believe to my soul like a boat is waterbound. When I die, put my picture in a frame. Hey, Lordy Mama, hey, Lordy Papa, talk about my picture in a frame. So when I'm gone, you can see me just the same. Hello, heaven, let me use your telephone. Hey, Lordy Mama, hey, Lordy Papa, talk about my use your telephone. So I can talk to my baby anytime when she's gone.
And now here's another tune. Boomer's Story. What's a boomer? Okay, this is made famous by Ry Cooder recently, which is to say in the late 70s, I believe. Boomer's Story, a great tune. It's by Carson Robison. Yes, Carson Robison, who you haven't heard of. He and his friend or partner did the expurgated version of Barnacle Bill the Sailor. Barnacle Bill the Sailor was a dirty old drinking song. And they made a new set of lyrics for it that weren't dirty, and it became a hit. But anyway, another thing that he wrote was Boomer's Story. It was 1928, and Carson Robison was a country artist, a country writer and singer, and he was born in 1890, and so he was 39 when, or 38 or 39 when he did Boomer's Story. A boomer is a guy who follows the railroads. He travels on the railroads to boom towns. He goes there for seasonal work, and then he gets out and goes somewhere else. And so a boomer is a sort of homeless guy, a migrant worker. That's a boomer. Boomtown. Somebody told me years ago that it was the guy who shovels coal on the old railroads. He was wrong. I found, finally, a glossary of old railroad terms.
Come and gather all around me. Listen to my tale of woe. Got some advice to give you. Things you want to know. Take a tip from one who's traveled. Never start to ramble and roam. 'Cause once you get the roaming fever, you'll never wanna settle down. 'Cause you never wanna settle down. Met a little girl in Frisco. I asked her to be my wife. Told her I was tired of roaming. Gonna settle down for life. Then I heard the whistle blowing, and I knew it was a red ball train. Left that girl beside the railroad. I never seen that girl again. Boys, I'll never see that girl again. Seen that girl again, never seen that girl again. Left her standing by the railroad, never saw that girl again. I traveled all over the country, I traveled everywhere. Been on every branch line railroad, and I never paid a nickel fare. Been from Maine to California, Canada to Mexico, and I never tried to save no money, and now I got no place to go. And now I got no place to go. So listen to a boomer story, pay attention to what I say. I hear another train coming, I guess I'll be on my way. And if you wanna do me a favor and lay me down to die, dig my grave beside the railroad so I can hear the trains roll by. So I can hear the trains roll by.
You know, I actually took a freight train to California with a friend named Robert Johnson. I didn't know him all that well, and I've never seen him since. And we didn't make it to California. We got as far as Philadelphia. You can read all about it in a story on my blog called The Time I Rode a Freight Train. My blog, I'll print it in the credits. I'll print the address in the credits, but it's easy. It's charliemessing.blogspot.com. I mean, it's when it is. Okay, now this book, an excellent book. I'm going to read a few tiny excerpts from this excellent book for you. Yes, that is a photo of Robert Johnson, the marvelous, the incredible, the hand-to-mouth, foolish, reckless, and genius-talented Robert Johnson. Next week, you see the ceiling behind my head? Well, that ceiling is going. It's going to be gone. Whatever's in its place will also look like a ceiling. But it'll be a great improvement over this ceiling. They haven't told me why. Okay, now for some of the back of my head. Yes, here I am, sitting in the corner. I love this. The other studio was a third this size. Surely it was larger than a quarter of this size. I don't think it was as big as half of this size. This is all academic. I'm kind of an academic, I guess. Well, they looked for Robert Johnson for quite a while. You know, they didn't even find the photos until the 90s. All through the 60s, we all wondered what on earth Robert Johnson looked like. He was so amazing. Nice suit he's wearing. Nice guitar he's playing. Dang. Okay. Too bad that his lifestyle was a death style. Here's something. 2 takes of virtually every number were recorded, with the second meant to be a safety take in case the master was damaged, and intended to come as close as possible to the first in time, mood, and feeling. In most cases, Johnson's first takes are superior, understandably so, though undoubtedly there were false starts and partial takes that preceded these. The drapes of the round top windows in the mezzanine floor of the Gunter Hotel were closed to keep out the noise of traffic, though this was nowhere near as pressing a problem as in busy downtown Dallas, where the second set of recordings would take place 6 months later. The King of the Delta Blues Singers album, the first we'd ever heard of them. I mean, we didn't have the old 78s from the 30s. The album came out in 1961. Well, anyway, he returned home from these sessions with several $100s in his pocket, undoubtedly more than he had ever seen in his life before. In my mind, he was a nice little quiet-spoken colored boy, said Vince Liebler, the recording engineer for the session. Son House says, "We heard a couple of his pieces come out on records. Believe the first one I heard was Terraplane Blues. Jesus, it was good. We all admired it. Said, that boy is really going places." There is no question of the impact that recording made on Robert Johnson's life. Certainly his contemporaries made the distinction, for the jukebox was by now, after all, a primary source of material, and Robert Johnson was a recording star. Nearly every time I came upon Robert, says Johnny Shines, probably without exaggeration, he'd be telling me about some new recording session. He'd tell me about things I'd never seen, like start lights and stop lights used in recording. About $75 to $100 was all the money he ever got. Mac McCormick tells of how, when the first records came out, Robert went around to his relatives and his children by various women to bring them the record himself. It makes a curious picture, the neat, always impeccable blues man walking down a dusty road, shoulders high, hunched a little bit forward, his guitar in one hand, his latest record in the other. Even his father, Noah, with whom there had evidently been very little contact, came to see his son at this point. And there is no question that Robert traveled even more widely, but retained his habit of disappearing at a moment's notice. See, quote, "See, he was kind of a peculiar fellow. Robert'd be standing up playing someplace, just playing like nobody's business. But then Robert'd just pick up and walk off and leave you standing there playing. And you wouldn't see Robert no more maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. More than a hint of his reckless ways." He was called back to record in June 1937, this time in Dallas, in a warehouse in the business district, perhaps the upstairs of a Buick showroom, on a Saturday and Sunday when the noise of traffic would not intrude so much. His recording this time was sandwiched in between the Crystal City Ramblers and Zeke Williams and his Rambling Cowboys. He made 3 masters on the first day and 10 on Sunday evening, of which 11 would be released within the next year. It was stifling inside the studio, which led to makeshift attempts at air conditioning. Don Law described another session of the time in this manner. "To keep the street noises out, we had to keep the windows closed, so we worked shirtless with electric fans blowing across cakes of ice." Safety takes were probably done on most of the numbers, though only 4 survive, and in each case, the alternate is virtually identical to the original. As country star Roy Acuff said of his own first recording session, "By the time you went through the number, timed it out, and then did another number exactly like it, failed on 3 or 4 of them, you were simply wore out." Undoubtedly, the same circumstances applied on Robert Johnson's session, but if his enthusiasm waned, there is no evidence of that on the record takes themselves. Okay, the thing I can't find in here is when Johnny Shines says he's talking to Robert in a little bar and there's music playing in the background. It's a song they haven't heard before, and they don't stop talking. Later in the evening, Robert unpacks his guitar and he starts playing that song that was in the background while they were talking, and he knows the whole song. Pretty amazing. Yeah, he wasn't even listening to it, you might say, but part of him was. Anyway, he was quite a genius in a number of ways. Robert Johnson, you should hear him. Oh well, let's just play another song.
Nobody rings my bell. Nobody knocks upon my door. Nobody calls me on the phone. Nobody won't leave me alone. Nobody follows me down the street. Nobody says everything I do. Nobody stops to pass the time of day. Nobody has nothing to say. I don't want nobody following me. Get off of my cloud, get out of my tree. They say nobody is an island, and nobody can do everything I can. Nobody sleeps in the hall outside. Nobody looks in my window at night. Nobody watches out for me. Nobody knows how it feels to be me. I don't want nobody bothering me. Get off of my cloud, get out of my tree. They say nobody is an island. Nobody can do everything I can. Nobody can do the jerk like I do. Nobody can do the shimmy like I do. Nobody can do the shing-a-lang like I do. Nobody can do the pony like I do. Nobody can do the shake like I do. Nobody, 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 nobody but me. And thank you to the Isley Brothers for the end, and the human beings with a Z.
Peace. Drift away. We're done.